की
जय।
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्यामा कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय।
जय।
मथुरापुरी वृंदावन ब्रजभूमि धाम की जय।
जय।
मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय।
जय।
जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय।
जय।
गंगा माई जमुना माई तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय।
जय।
श्याम वेद भक्त वृंद की जय।
जय।
गौर प्रेमानंदे।
हरि हरि बोल।
All glories to assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा।
All glories to assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा।
All glories to assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा।
All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
हरि हरि बोल।
So today we are going to read Canto 2, Chapter 7, and the text number is 5. So I will read 3 times and then you can recite it, please. Taptam tapo vividaloka shishagya shakshayame ado sanata swatapasah sachatuh sano bhut prakalpya samplava vinashtam ihatmatatvam samyag jagadamunayo yad achakshatatman taptam tapo vividaloka ado sanata swatapasah sachatuh sano bhut prakalpya samplava vinashtam ihatmatatvam samyag jagad munayo yad achakshatatman taptam tapo vividalokashi shrakshayame ado sanata swatapasah sachatuh sano bhut prakalpya samplava vinashtam ihatmatatvam samyag jagad munayo yad achakshatatman. So please recite.
तप्तं तपो विविधलोकशिश्रिक्षया मे आदौ सनात्स्वतपसा स चतुस्सनाभूत् प्राक्कल्पसम्प्लवविनष्टमिहात्मतत्त्वं सम्यग् जगादमुनयो यदचक्षतात्मन्।
तपं तपो विविधलोकशिशिक्षया मे आदौ सनत्स्व तपसा सचतुस्सनो अभूत् प्राक्कल्पसम्प्लवविनष्टम् इहात्मतत्त्वं संयोग जगद मुनयो यदचक्षतात्मान्। श्री कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्णा।
तप्तं तपो विविध लोक श्रीश्रिच्छया मे आदौ सनात स्वतपसः सा चतुसनो अभूत् प्रकल्पसम्पल्व विनष्टम् इहात्मतत्त्वम् सम्यग् जगादमुनियो यद् अच्युतात्मन्। हरे कृष्ण। थैंक यू।
हरे कृष्णा। Anyone else would like to say? All right, I'll say. तप्तं तपो विविधा लोकशिश्रक्षया मे आदौ सनात् स्वतपसा स चतुस्सनोऽभूत् प्राक् कल्पसम्प्लव विनष्टम् इहात्मतत्त्वम् सम्यग् जगाद मुनयो यत् अचक्ष आत्मन्. Synonyms: taptam, having undergone austerities; tapaha, penance; vividha loka, different planetary systems; si srakshaya, desiring to create; me, of mine; adau, at first; sanat, from the personality of Godhead. Swa tapsaha, by dint of my own penances. Saha, he the Lord. Chatusanaha, the four bachelors named Sanat Kumar, Sanak, Sanandan, and Sanatan. Abhut, appeared. Prak, previous. Kalpa, creation. Samplav, in the inundation. Vinashtam, devastated. Iha, in this material world. Atma, the spirit. Tattvam, truth. Samyak, incomplete. Jagad, became manifested. Munya, sages. Yet that which. Achakshat, saw clearly. Atman, the spirit. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charnaran Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. To create different planetary systems, I had to undergo austerity and penance. And the Lord, thus being pleased with me, incarnated in four sanas: Sanak, Sanat Kumar, Sanandan, and Sanatan. In the previous creation, the spiritual truth was devastated. But the four sanas explained it so nicely that the truth at once became clearly perceived by the sages. Report by Srila Prabhupada. The Vishnu Sahasranam prayers mention the Lord's name as Sanat and Sanatan Tam. The Lord and the living entities are both qualitatively Sanatan or eternal. But the Lord is Sanatan Tam, or the eternal in the superlative degree. The living entities are positively Sanatan, but not superlatively, because the living entities are apt to fall to the atmosphere of non-eternity. Therefore, the living entities are quantitatively different from the superlative Sanatan, the Lord. The word San is also used in the sense of charity. Therefore, when everything is given up in charity unto the Lord reciprocates by giving himself unto the devotee. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4:11. Ye yatham mam prapadante. Brahmaji wanted to create the whole cosmic situation as it was in the previous millennium. And because in the last devastation, knowledge of the absolute truth was altogether erased from the universe, it desired that the same knowledge again be renovated. Otherwise, there would be no meaning in the creation. Because transcendental knowledge is the prime necessity, the ever-conditioned souls are given a chance for liberation in every millennium of creation. This mission of Brahmaji was fulfilled by the grace of the Lord when the four sanas, namely Sanak, Sanat Kumar, Sanandan, and Sanatan, appeared as his four sons. These four sanas were incarnations of the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. As such, they explained transcendental knowledge so explicitly that all the sages could at once assimilate this knowledge without the least difficulty. By following in the footsteps of the four Kumaras, one can at once see the Supreme Personality Godhead within oneself. Om Agyan Timiradasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadikamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajim Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Laita Shri Vishakha Nivitamsha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namne Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarane नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गुरत्तुषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्त रूप स्वरूपकं भक्तवतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्त शक्तिकम्। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांता नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि प्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। श्रमतां स्वकथा कृष्णः पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदन्तस्तु भद्राणि विधनोति स्वसतां नष्टप्रायश बद्धेषु नित्यं भावसेव्य भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिका। हरे कृष्णा। So I'll read this verse one more time. Taptam tapo vividha lok srisrakshayame adau sanat swatapasa sa chatu sano bhut prak kalpa samplav vinashtam ihatma tattvam samyak jagad muniyo yad achakshat atman. To create different planetary systems, I had to undergo austerity and penances, and the Lord, thus being pleased with me, incarnated in the four sanas Sanak, Sanat Kumar, Sanandana, and Sanatan. In the previous creation, the spiritual truth was devastated, but the four sanas explained it so nicely that the truth at once became clearly perceived by the sages. So here in this chapter, the different incarnation of the Lords are explained, and in that series, the first in the line is the four Kumaras. At the beginning of the creation, when Lord Brahma start creating this material world, so here it's mentioned in this verse that he created different planetary systems. Like as we know, in the beginning, from the navel of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, a lotus sprung out, and at the top of the lotus, Lord Brahma appears. At that time, these planetary systems were not there. So then Brahma divided this whole stem which came out from the navel of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and he created this 14 planetary system. At the top, it's Satyaloka, then Janaloka, Tapaloka, Maharloka. These are the three planetary systems which are reserved for ascetics and sages who are basically engaged in the austerities and penances. Then below that we have Swargaloka, in which we have the planets for all the demigods, including Indra, Chandra, Varun. All these demigods, they have their planets. And below that we have Bhuvarloka. Bhuvarloka is like outer space, where we have Vidyadhar, Gandharva, Charan, and other sub-demigods who have their planets there in that area. And then we have this Bhuloka or Bhumandala, where we have the Earth planet. One of the section is Earth planet. So these are the 7 planetary system, and Earth is the middle. And then below we have Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Mahatal, Rasatal, and Patal. So these are like 14 planetary system. So Lord Brahma created this. For in order to create even these planetary systems, Lord Brahma performed great austerity and penance. He, in the beginning, when he appeared, nothing was there, but he performed great tapasya, great penance to please the Lord. And by the penance and austerity performed by Brahmaji, Lord empowered him to create all these universes, all these planetary systems. So here in this verse, it's also mentioned that Lord Brahma's purpose of creating this planetary system, is not just for entertainment or not just to satisfy his desire. The purpose of this material world is to get free from this material world. Sometimes we ask this question that why this material world is being created? What is the purpose behind that? The purpose behind that is mentioned here in this verse is that one should get free from this material entanglement. But how a person is going to get free from this material entanglement? So the first thing that is needed for a person to get free from this material world is the transcendental knowledge or spiritual knowledge. When Lord Brahma created these planetary systems, in the beginning he created 5 types of ignorances. 5 types of ignorances. The first ignorance that Lord Brahma created, this is mentioned in third canto. When the creation part is mentioned, there in Lord Brahma mentioned this, I think in 15th chapter maybe, or 15th chapter, or maybe 20th chapter. But one of the chapters mentioned that in the beginning, Lord Brahma created these 5 ignorances or avidya. The first ignorance or avidya is that when a living entity comes to this material world, they forget who they are. So by nature, we are all spirit soul. So time we come enter into the material world, or we basically took we took our body in the material world. So first avidya that captures us is, or first ignorance that captures us, that we forget who we are. So by nature we are spirit soul. We are part and parcel of Krishna, as Krishna mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. Mamev amsho jiva loke जीव भूता सनातना मना षष्ठानि इंद्रियाणि prakriti sthane karshati. So Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter, Mame amsho jiva loke. All the living entity in this material world, they are part and parcel of me. Krishna is the whole spirit. We, living entity, is a part and parcel of Krishna. We are amsha. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further explains that in the being, like when Sanatan Goswami asked Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Banaras, Ami ke, who am I? He asked this question, Ami ke, who am I and why I'm getting suffering this material world? In response to that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that, Jivere Sarup Hore Krishner Nityadas. Our eternal constitutional position here in this material world is that we are part and parcel of Krishna. We are servant of Krishna. By nature, we are all servant. But because of the ignorance, ahankar, false ego, we consider ourselves as the master. So this first avidya that is being created by Lord Brahma is that we forget who we are. So naturally, like suppose if you forget who you are, so anyone can give you any name and then you will accept that, right? So first thing they forget, the living entity forget who they are naturally. And then Lord Brahma created second avidya or second ignorance is that we start identifying ourselves with the body. So first thing we forget who we are, like we spirit soul. Second thing is that we start accepting this body as ourselves. Now this body, if we start accepting this body as ourselves, then the whole paradigm shift. The next ignorance, Lord Brahma created that we, all the living entities, start thinking that I am the body and anyone related to my body is mine. Like this body, when we start thinking this body is myself, then my mother and father, they are mine. So my mother, my father. Then we have siblings. my brother, my sister, then my uncle, my auntie, my mama, my mommy, my kaka, my kaki, my chacha, my chachi, like that. So we start identifying based on body. Then after some part of time, we get married. Then we start saying, oh, it's my wife, my husband, my father-in-law, my brother-in-law, my mother-in-law, like that. So we get whole sets of another relatives. We get added just by the relationship of the marriage. And then the more interesting part comes after that, when we have children. Then we say, oh, it's my son, my daughter, my son-in-law, my daughter-in-law, this is mine, that is mine. We start thinking so much that we think they are mine because they are based on the body. So this kind of avidya runs this whole world. If a person is not infatuated by this ignorance, it's very difficult for a person to take care of the family. Now, the interesting part is that after this third one, the fourth ignorance that Lord Brahma created is that anything which is not related to my body is not mine. Means people who are not related to my body, I don't need to care about them. Whether they live or die, doesn't matter to me. Only people I should work for is who are related to my body. You see, in this world, people work so hard, day and night. They have so much money, so much power, whatever, but they feed only their wife and their children, that's all. Hardly anyone who is interested in taking care of other people, very, very rare. That thing, because they think that except than that, nobody is my dear and near and dear. They are all different people. They are not mine. If somebody is dying in some part of the world, we don't care as long as our family members are okay. If something happens, say for example, many people are from India or we are from different part of the world. If something happening in other area, we generally call our relatives, our friends, our brother, sister, and we make sure that they are okay. Even if 1,000 people die, we don't care as long as our family is okay. It means as long as our family is okay, we are fine. That's the ignorance that we have. So this ignorance is created by Lord Brahma. And the fifth type of ignorance that Lord Brahma created is abhinivesh. Abhinivesh means in this thing that we forget that who we are, and we accept this body as ourself, and we think that whatever related to our body is mine, whatever not related to our body is not mine. In these types of things, we completely submerge ourselves. And in that, we work whole day and night. Right? But is that the real thing? Lord Brahma, when he started creating living entity, he thought that, this material world I created not for people to suffer. This material world I created for people to get delivered. A Vaishnava or a devotee of the Lord always worried about deliverance of the living entity from this material world. This material world is an opportunity for living entity to revive their original Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada mentions in his purport to Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he says that we are all originally Krishna conscious living entities. But from the time immemorial, we are stuck into this material world. And by chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we can revive. Srila Prabhupada used this word very strongly, this revive our original Krishna consciousness. So Krishna consciousness is nothing artificial or external to us. Krishna consciousness is our original natural energy of the Lord, of the living entities. By nature, we are all Krishna conscious. But from time immemorial, we are stuck into this material world. And because of that, we forget our original our constitutional position that we are servant of the Lord. So for that, Lord Brahma also wanted, Lord Brahma also desired that all the living entity in this material world should get a chance to come out from this material world. Because this material world is considered like a prison house for the living entity who revolted against the authority of Krishna. So that's why we are stuck into the material world. We are not here by we are not here by some arrangement by Krishna. We chose to come here. Srila Prabhupada says that when a servant artificially try to imitate his master, he tried to become a master, then he actually affected by Maya. Then he comes to his material world. We are all servant of the Lord, but we try to become master. So you see in this material world here, we have this inherent propensity that we want to become master. Everyone want to become controller. Everyone want to control things, whether it's your own personal life, your family life, your community, your city, your township, your country, your whole world. So people have this tendency to control, and this controlling tendency is actually our cause of suffering. So here Brahmaji wanted all the living entities to receive transcendental knowledge in a systematic way. So in the previous creation, here is mentioned that in the previous creation, the spiritual truth was available to all the living entities. And he is looking for that spiritual knowledge to be available in every kalpa, in every creation. So for that, he was thinking in the beginning that how can I provide this transcendental knowledge to the living entity in this material world. While he was thinking that, Lord personally came, Lord personally incarnated in the form of four Kumaras, four Sanas, Sanak, Sanat Kumar, Sanandan, and Sanatan. These four brothers, they are Neshtik Brahmacharis. Means they accepted Brahmacharya from the beginning of their appearance, and they are the incarnation of the Lord, especially the jnana or the knowledge they are providing in the material world. They are Shaktavesha avatar. The Shaktavesha avatar they are empowered by the transcendental knowledge. And they are so empowered by the Lord because they are the incarnation of the Lord that they can explain this transcendental knowledge in such a way that it is become very clear to all the sages. Vedas are very, very tough to understand. Vedas are not easy. Vedas never talk things straight. In Vedas, things are being mentioned in a different way. So if you read Vedas by yourself, a person will not get understanding clearly. So Vedas has to be explained by the devotees of the Lord. See, like before Srila Prabhupada came to United States, many people came and many people tried to wrote a commentary on Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita that many people try to write commentary on Bhagavad Gita, but none of the commentary touches the real spirit of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada mentioned that in the introduction that over 600 translations were available at that time before Srila Prabhupada start writing Bhagavad Gita as it is. So whenever Prabhupada mentioned, when one lady asked Srila Prabhupada which translation is the best, Prabhupada said none of the translation actually touches the real spirit of Bhagavad Gita. That's why Prabhupada decided to give the commentary Bhagavad Gita as it is. And Prabhupada gave the translation of Bhagavad Gita and the purport in such a way that a common man can understand. As I say, it is very difficult for a person to understand Vedas or Vedic knowledge. Even Bhagavad Gita, as Prabhupada mentioned, a scholarly person can read Bhagavad Gita, but he cannot understand Bhagavad Gita. He cannot explain Bhagavad Gita. So the real thing that what we have in ISKCON is the purport by Srila Prabhupada. They are the real asset to us. Bhagavad Gita as a verse is available, or Srimad Bhagavatam as a verse is available to the other people also. But they cannot understand because they do not have purport by Srila Prabhupada. Without the purport of Srila Prabhupada, without Srila Prabhupada giving us the commentary, it's very difficult for any of us to understand what is the real import behind Lord Krishna's message in Bhagavad Gita. Same thing here is mentioned in this verse, that 4 Kumaras are so expert that they explain this transcendental knowledge in such a way that even sages can understand very nicely. See, just think about Lord Brahma created Atri Muni, like Vasishtha, Marichi, great sages who are the direct son of Brahma. Even they could not understand the Vedas very nicely, but Lord personally came in as 4 Kumaras and explained this knowledge to them. And they all accepted this knowledge. So it is very important that even for all of us, we are all in Krishna conscious movements from such a long time. It is very important for us so that we can explain the purpose, the real essence of this Krishna conscious movement to the common people in such a way that they can understand and they can adopt this very nicely. Because knowledge, this transcendental knowledge is there, but how we can communicate that to a person is very important. And that's what here mentioned is that these 4 Kumars were very expert in giving in such a nice way that a common even sages can understand. And Prabhupada actually give commentary in such a way that we all can actually try to understand, even though I don't understand even the real purport of Srila Prabhupada, but whatever I understand, I just try to explain here. So what Prabhupada is mentioning here is that these things are very important, that we should take this message from this verse, is that we should try to understand the purport of Srila Prabhupada and explain this to the whole world. Here in the purport, Prabhupada mentioned that Vishnu Shastranam prayers mentioned Lords as Sanat and Sanatan Tamaha. So the first paragraph here, Srila Prabhupada explained the difference between the living entity and the Supreme Lord. So Supreme Lord is Sanatan, is eternal. And we are also eternal. If you see in Bhagavad Gita, verse number 2, chapter number 2, text number 20, न जायते मृते व कदाचिन नायम भूत्व भाविता वा न भूया अजो नित्य शाश्वतमयम पुराणो न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे. In that verse, Krishna explains, Jayate mriteva kadachin naya bhutva bhavita na bhuya. There is no birth, no death for a living entity in past, in present, and future. Why? Because the living entity is aja, unborn. Aja shashvato, permanent, nitya, eternal, and purana, from the beginning. As Lord is eternal, we living entities are also eternal. But there is a difference, which Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, is that qualitatively, the Lord and the living entity are both qualitatively Sanatan or eternal. As I mentioned, that Lord is eternal, we are also eternal. Lord exists eternally, we exist eternally. Lord is Purana, we are Purana. Lord is Aja, we are Aja. Unborn, unborn. But Lord is Sanatan Tam, or eternal in superlative degree. What does that mean is that, but Prabhupada explained in the next line, that the living entities are positively Sanatan. We are eternal. There's no doubt about it, but not superlatively, because living entities are apt to fall to the atmosphere of non-eternity. We, like, the same thing is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita chapter 15. In chapter 15, it's mentioned that there are two types of living entity. One is living entity who never falls to this material world, but there is one type of living entity who falls to the material world. Fallible and infallible. And then in the same, in the same Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that, but beyond this fallible and infallible, there is another supreme living entity. That is Krishna, who never falls to his material world. Because he is eternal in superlative degree. So that's why here Prabhupada mentioned, therefore the living entity are quantitatively different from superlative Sanatan, the Lord. Qualitatively, we are same as eternal, but quantitatively, we are not equal to Lord. This is called Achintya Bheda Abheda Tattva by the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains. Also, in the second paragraph, Srila Prabhupada explained the word son is also used in sense of charity. This is the biggest charity of the Lord to the world. Lord, especially incarnated in the form of 4 Kumaras, is a big welfare activity Lord has given to all of us. Here Prabhupada said, therefore, when everything is given up in charity unto the Lord reciprocates by giving himself unto the devotees. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, ye yatha mam prapadante. So Brahmaji wanted to create the whole cosmic situation as it was in previous millennium. Because in the last devastation, knowledge of absolute truth was altogether erased from universe. He desired same knowledge again, be renovated. Otherwise, there could be no meaning of the creation. So Brahmaji was very worried that if there is no spiritual knowledge, then what's the point of creation? The purpose of creation is to transmit this spiritual knowledge to all the living entity. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. The first aphorism of the Vedanta Sutra written by Srila Vedvyas Muni is that now it is time for us to understand, or it's time for us to inquire about the Brahman, about the Lord, about us, who we are, and why we are here. Because, Prabhupada says that, because transcendental knowledge is the prime necessity. This is the first thing that we need to understand. Without understanding our eternal nature, without understanding our relationship with Krishna, all our endeavor will go in waste. The ever-conditioned living souls are given a chance for liberation in every millennium of creation. So Lord Brahma wants to ensure that all living entity should have enough opportunity to understand their relationship with Krishna. So this mission of Brahmaji was fulfilled by the grace of the Lord. So Lord understand that Brahmaji wanted the all living entity to get delivered. That's why he wanted knowledge. Now, if we see similarly, that's what Prabhupada want. Srila Prabhupada started his journey from Vrindavan at the age of 69 with just few rupees in his hand, like 40 rupees in his hand and few copies of Srimad Bhagavatam. He embarked on the Jaladutta ship. And what was he looking for? He's looking for deliverance of this whole Western world. That's what his mission was. He wanted to spread this knowledge of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam by the order of his spiritual master. So that's why even in that advanced age, he took this risk. He took this very dangerous risk of he was aware that he might die there in the Western world there, but still he left Vrindavan and he came to this country here to fulfill the mission of his spiritual master and desire that all the living entity get delivered. So when Srila Prabhupada desired that, Lord reciprocate. But yeah, it took some time, definitely. Srila Prabhupada spent like around 40-45 days to come to United States. And then after that, it took almost an year that Srila Prabhupada struggled to propagate this Krishna conscious movement. But after that, Lord reciprocate and showered his mercy on Srila Prabhupada, and Srila Prabhupada, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, this whole movement spread like a fire. So in the next 11 years, like Srila Prabhupada, when he left this material planet, 1977, the Krishna consciousness was at peak. So that was the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So here the mission of Brahmaji was fulfilled by the Lord. He personally appeared as 4 Kumaras, Sanak, Sanat Kumar, Sanandan, and Sanatan. And these 4 sanas were incarnation of knowledge of the Absolute Truth. This is a very important point, is that the Lord personally comes here to spread this knowledge. So if you see in Bhagavad Gita also, chapter 4, Lord says to Arjuna that I give this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita first time to sun god Vivaswan, millions of years back. And Vivaswan gave it to his son Manu. And Manu gave it to Ikshvaku. And in that parampara, in that system, the knowledge was coming to this material world. Then he says that because looks like this knowledge is get destroyed over the period of time. So he's starting a new chain of disciplic succession, starting from Arjuna. So similarly here, these 4 sanas were incarnation of the knowledge of the Supreme Lord. Jnanavatar. These 4 sanas are called Jnanavatar. As we call Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Premavatar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is called Premavatar. Lord Shri Ram is Maryada Purushottam Avatar. And Lord Krishna is Leela Purushottam Avatar. Right? So similarly, these 4 sons of Lord Brahma are nothing but the Lord personally coming to spread this transcendental knowledge. And as such, they explain transcendental knowledge so explicitly that all sages could at once assimilate this knowledge without the least difficulty. This is a very important part that we should understand. We should take it that we should give knowledge. We should understand this knowledge, and we should give this knowledge in such a way that people can understand very easily. Make it simple, even though it's very difficult. Prabhupada says that many times. Krishna consciousness is easy and sublime. Very contradictory fact. On one side, Prabhupada says very easy. On the second line, say is sublime. So something which is so top, how can that be very easy? But it is not easy actually. Someplace Srila Prabhupada mentioned that Krishna consciousness is not that easy, but Prabhupada made it very easy for us. It is a mercy of Prabhupada that who actually made this Krishna consciousness so easy for us. To becoming a devotee of Lord is not that easy. To get the mercy of Lord is not that easy. But it's the mercy of the Lord, Srila Prabhupada, who made it so easy that we are able to chant the holy name of the Lord. So this is very important that we should try to get from the purport here Srila Prabhupada mentioned. Right. So last time he said that by following in the footstep of 4 Kumaras, one can at once see the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the oneself. So similarly here, the sages who followed the instruction of 4 Kumaras, who are none other than the Supreme Lord himself, they could have interaction or they can have connection with the Lord very easily. Similarly, I can say in today's world, if we follow the words of Srila Prabhupada, if we follow the instruction given by Srila Prabhupada, that we should sincerely chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra without making offenses and following 4 regulative principles sincerely, surely we will be able to see Krishna very soon in the future. That's what he said. We can Prabhupada says that here, one can at once see the Supreme Personality of Godhead within oneself. So similarly, if we follow Prabhupada's instruction very sincerely, we will be able to see, we will be able to achieve our goal of our life, going back home, back to Godhead, and see Krishna face to face. We can achieve by the instruction of Srila Prabhupada. All right, so now I'll stop here and see if anyone have any comment or any realization or comments anyone would like to share. Any questions anyone have? Or Kevala Prabhu would like to give some comments on today's discussion.
No, Prabhu, it was a very nice discussion that how mercifully Lord came himself, in the form of four Kumaras and gave us all the knowledge so all the sages can understand that and go from there, in the discipline succession in chain. So it's otherwise, how we will get that knowledge. And beside the four Kumaras, there are so many other Leela avatars of Lord, and each Leela avatar was for some particular purpose. And we can see how many Leela avatars are there, like waves of the river, and so many, and they all gave us. So we have actually in Vedic knowledge, we have so much to learn. Other branches, like other religions, they don't have this kind of thing, but our Vedic is the king of all the knowledges, and we should have pride for that. So thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you very much for your comment, Prabhu Srila Prabhu. Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments? Anyone have?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Hare Krishna, Suman Mataji.
Very nice class, and it was really nice to know about the incarnation of Krishna through these four Kumaras, and who gave us knowledge, right, through the parampara. But I also heard, maybe I missed something. You said that Krishna gave knowledge to Sun God, and then to Manu, and then Ishwaku, and then it went through, like in that parampara. Which parampara? Maybe I missed something from Sanat Kumar or from Ishwaku.
Yeah, no, in Bhagavad Gita, so if you see chapter number 4, in the beginning, the first verse, Krishna explained, Imam Vivsate Yogam Proktavahan Am Avyam. So in that 4.1, Krishna explains that this transcendental knowledge, the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, was first imparted to the sun god Vivaswan. And then Vivaswan gave it to his son Manu. Manu Maharaj, who was the seventh Manu, Vivaswat Manu. And then Manu gave it to his son Ikshvaku, who is the from the Surya Vamsha. And then the knowledge was coming. And then after some point of time, what happens? Over the period of time, the knowledge slowly get disappeared. And Krishna saw that when Arjuna asked those questions or presented the doubts in front of Krishna, so Krishna thought that, well, looks like the knowledge that I gave it to Vivaswan is not available. That's why Arjuna is talking like this. So he said that I'm going to give you same transcendental knowledge that I gave it to Vivaswan. So, and these four Kumaras, they actually appeared in the beginning of the creation. When Lord Brahma was thinking of creating living entity, at that time, the very first sons of Lord Brahma is these four Kumaras. So Lord give this knowledge time to time. There are different paramparas. As of now, in Padma Purana, it is mentioned that in the age of Kali Yuga, there are 4 sampradayas, 4 parampara systems, which are going to spread this transcendental knowledge in a systematic way. Like we have one sampradaya coming from Lord Brahma, which is basically we are like the Madhva, we are this our ISKCON is coming in the parampara of Brahma, Lord Brahma, Madhvacharya, Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. Then we have a sampradaya starting from Lord Shiva, that's called Rudra Sampradaya. Then we have a parampara starting from Mother Lakshmi, Sri Sampradaya. And then we have another sampradaya starting from these 4 Kumaras. So knowledge comes in like in a different streams. So as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So every millennium, every yuga, Lord comes and give this transcendental knowledge to reestablish dharma. Like Lord Kapila Dev also appeared to give transcendental knowledge to the world. So Lord comes in many, many ways and giving this knowledge, because one time giving knowledge is good, but over the period of time it gets spreaded and some part is get destroyed. So in the beginning, 4 Kumaras appeared and they actually incarnation of Lord spreaded the knowledge, but later Lord comes and give this knowledge to Vivaswan. Then later Lord personally came as Krishna, give knowledge to Arjuna. Similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the age of Kali Yuga, and he giving knowledge to all the 6 Goswamis. And then from 6 Goswamis, we are getting this knowledge in parampara. And Srila Prabhupada is also one of the Shakta Visha avatar of the Lord, who is empowered to give this transcendental knowledge to all of us.
Okay, thank
So
you.
there are many branches. They are all
Yeah.
coming from Lord. So like they are all spreading this knowledge. So when we are in parampara, we are getting right knowledge. But if we are not in parampara, that knowledge is not authorized. But we have to in a right parampara, like right chain, then we get knowledge. So in our chain, if you see in Bhagavad Gita, in the beginning, like I'll show you, like in the beginning of introduction of Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada like actually mentioned that this parampara, that where we are in, so that will give you an understanding. So if you look at the introduction here, at the end, here is a parampara, like our parampara. Here, Srila mentioned, Evam parampara praptam, imam rajarishio vidhu. So this is in Bhagavad Gita 4.2. So we have parampara starting from Krishna coming to Lord Brahma, to Narad Muni, Vyasadev, Madhvacharya, and then it's coming like that. And ultimately, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared here, Lord Chaitanya, then 6 Goswamis, then we have his parampara coming, then we have Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and finally Srila Prabhupada. So this parampara, we are getting this transcendental knowledge. Similarly, we have a parampara of 4 Kumaras. So in 4 Kumaras, they have parampara. So they have acharyas coming in the line of disciplic succession. Similarly, we have parampara from Bhagwan, Lord Shiva, Rudra Sampradaya, and then we have Sri Sampradaya. In South India, where Sri Ramanacharya is the acharya in the Sri Sampradaya. So they have like knowledge in that form. So this is our Sampradaya.
Okay, thank you very much. Explained very nicely in detail.
Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All right. Any other questions, comments anyone have before we end? All right. It looks like nothing. Do we have any announcements? I see Dronacharya Prabhu, you are here. Is there any announcement we have to do before we end our call?
No announcement for today.
Okay.
Just keep in mind that I guess coming up this Thursday is the appearance day of Advaita Charya. That is a half-day fast, so people can just remember that. In the evening, we'll have some kirtan, and then Friday night we'll have a program at the Bhakti Garden with the Panchatattva, and glorify Advaita Charya Prabhu in this in the Panchatattva. Thank you, Ramcharan Prabhu. Very nice.
Hare Krishna. We'll end now. Vancha kalpatarubhascha.
Patarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha. Patitanam
Patitanam
pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo
Namo
namaha.
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की
Vaishnavrinda ki
श्रीमद्
jai.
भागवत जय श्रीमद् भागवत महापुराण की जय।
Thank you very much, Prabhu.